Welcome, listeners, to the shadows of history, where whispers bridge the realms of the living and the dead. In the heart of Mexico, beneath the bustling streets and vibrant colors of Guanajuato, lies a mystery as unsettling as it is fascinating. This is a tale not for the faint of heart, a journey into the depths of the unknown. Our story unfolds in the catacombs of Guanajuato, where the past is not as silent as one might expect. Here, the mummified remainders of the city's ancestors lie in eternal rest, or so it was believed. These catacombs, a labyrinth of darkness and silence, have begun to echo with the whispers. Not just any whispers, but those that carry the secrets of the past, murmured secrets of lives once lived, of untold stories that intertwine with the city's vibrant history. As we delve into the Whispering Mummies of Guanajuato, brace yourself for an exploration of fear, apprehension, and the ambiguity that lies between death and the living. What are these whispers? Who speaks them, and why? Are they simply echoes of the past, or is there something more, something that yearns to be heard, understood, or even feared? Join me as we step into the darkness, seeking out the whispered secrets held tight by the mummies of Guanajuato. But beware, for some truths, once heard, cannot be unheard. Are you ready to listen to what the dead have to say? Let's begin. The catacombs of silence. In the heart of Mexico, cradled by the rolling hills and vibrant landscapes, lies Guanajuato, a city not just known for its breathtaking beauty or its streets that weave like threads of color through the fabric of history, but for its profound and unsettling mysteries that lurk beneath. Guanajuato is not merely a city. It is a guardian of history, a keeper of secrets that date back centuries. Our story begins not under the glare of the sun, but in the shadows that stretch beneath the city's surface. Beneath the cobblestone streets and colonial buildings, beneath the laughter and the music, there exists another world. A world silent and forgotten. The catacombs of Guanajuato, a place where time stands still, and the air is thick with the weight of the past. These catacombs, discovered quite by accident, were not meant to see the light of day. It was during an expansion of the city, a routine excavation, that the ground gave way to reveal a network of tunnels and chambers, a final resting place for countless souls. The workers stood at the brink, peering into the abyss, the air cool and musty, the silence so profound it seemed to hum in their ears. As the news of the discovery spread, the catacombs became a subject of fascination and fear. Here, in the depth of the earth, lay mummified bodies, preserved by the unique conditions of their crypts. Their faces, twisted in expressions of eternal rest, or perhaps eternal torment, greeted those who dared to enter. These were not the relics of the rich or the noble, but the common folk of Guanajuato, each with a story buried in the silence. The catacombs themselves were a maze, a tangle of pathways that led deeper into the darkness. It was said that those who ventured too far might never find their way back, lost to the whispers of the dead. For whispers there were, or so the tales went, soft murmurs that seemed to drift through the air, as though the mummies were not content to merely lie in silence, but yearned to be part of the living world once more. Fear mingled with curiosity as more ventured into the catacombs. Some sought to uncover history, others to touch the veil that separates life from death. But all who entered spoke of the overwhelming sense of being watched, of eyes unseen that followed their every move. And so, the stage is set beneath the vibrant life of Guanajuato, in the silence of the catacombs, a place where the past is not dead, but merely sleeping, waiting. What secrets do these ancient guardians hold? What stories are etched into the very bones of the city? As we delve deeper into the heart of the mystery, remember, listener, that some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. The whispers of the mummies of Guanajuato are calling. Will you listen? The mummies awake. Beneath the surface of Guanajuato, in the gloom of the catacombs, her story takes a chilling turn. Here, in the eternal darkness, the mummified bodies lay in their silent vigil, discovered in your resting places, untouched by the passage of time. They presented a sight both fascinating and macabre. The conditions within these underground chambers had acted as an unwitting preservative, keeping the bodies remarkably intact, their skin leathery and taut over their bones, their clothes still clinging to their forms, bore silent testimony to their former lives. Visitors, drawn by a mixture of curiosity and dread, came to witness this anomaly of nature and history. The air in the catacombs was cool and still, a stark contrast to the warmth and vibrancy of the world above. The silence was almost tangible, a heavy cloak that muffled the sound of footsteps and whispered conversations. It was in this oppressive silence that something extraordinary began to occur. The first reports were dismissed as the product of overactive imaginations. Visitors spoke of whispers in the dark, soft murmurs that seemed to emanate from the mummies themselves. These were not the clear and coherent words of the living, but something else fragmented, elusive, as if straining to be heard over an immense distance. Some described it as the sound of wind through the narrow passages, while others were convinced they were hearing the voices of the dead. Skeptics argued that the whispers were nothing more than echoes, sounds distorted by the peculiar acoustics of the catacombs. Yet, the reports persisted, with increasing detail. Individuals claimed to hear their names called in the gloom, or to catch snippets of conversation in languages that were ancient and unfamiliar. The atmosphere in the catacombs grew heavy with anticipation and fear. Each corner seemed to conceal shadows that moved just beyond the edge of vision, and the air felt charged with a palpable tension. Among the rows of the dead, some mummies drew particular attention. There was the figure of a woman, her features frozen in an expression of eternal sorrow, who was said to whisper laments for a lost child. Another was a man, his arms crossed over his chest, whose whispers were angry and insistent, speaking of betrayal and vengeance. These encounters left visitors shaken, their skepticism eroded by experiences they could not explain. The whispers in the catacombs became a phenomenon that could not be ignored. Scientists and paranormal investigators alike were drawn to Guanajuato, each eager to unlock the secrets of the whispering mummies. Cameras and recording equipment were brought into the depths in an attempt to capture evidence of the unexplained whispers. But the catacombs guarded their secrets closely. Equipment malfunctioned inexplicably, batteries drained in moments, and recordings captured only static and the distant, echoing drips of water. It seemed as if the mummies, and whatever force animated them, defied the scrutiny of the modern world. As the whispers grew more persistent, the boundary between the past and the present began to blur. The catacombs, a place of death, seemed imbued with a strange and restless energy. What were the mummies trying to communicate? Were they merely echoes of the past, or were they reaching out for something more? The answers lay hidden in the darkness, among the silent figures that waited with infinite patience for their stories to be heard. In the next chapter, we will delve deeper into the mystery, exploring the voices from the past and the secrets they seek to unveil. But beware, listener, for in seeking to understand the whispers, we may awaken things best left undisturbed. Voices from the past. As the whispers within the catacombs of Guanajuato grew clearer and more insistent, the boundary between disbelief and dread began to erode. The voices, once dismissed as mere echoes or tricks of the mind, now demanded attention. Visitors and researchers, drawn into the depths by curiosity or scholarly interest, found themselves confronted with phenomena that defied rational explanation. The whispers varied in intensity and clarity, but many began to discern distinct phrases, sentences even, that hinted at the rich tapestry of Guanajuato's history. These were not random utterances, but seemed to be fragments of narratives, personal stories etched into the very air of the catacombs. Some spoke of love lost, and of lives cut tragically short, of secrets buried deep beneath the city streets. Others recounted tales of the city's past, of revolutions and rebellions, of pain and perseverance. The mummies, it seemed, were not merely preserved relics, but custodians of stories untold and histories forgotten. The phenomenon sparked fierce debate among skeptics and believers. Academics and scientists sought logical explanations, attributing the voices to the complex acoustics of the catacombs or the psychological effects of being surrounded by death. Paranormal researchers, on the other hand, saw in the whispers evidence of a connection to the afterlife, a tangible link between the world of the living and the dead. Investigations were launched in an effort to uncover the truth behind the whispers. Linguists and historians were brought in to analyze the content of the messages, attempting to verify their authenticity and historical accuracy. Audio specialists set up sensitive recording equipment, hoping to capture the elusive sounds. Yet, the more they sought to pin down the phenomenon, the more elusive it became. Recordings captured whispers that, when analyzed, often revealed multiple layers of voices, as if the mummies spoke not with a single voice, but with many, overlapping and intertwining. Amidst the scientific endeavors, personal stories began to emerge, tales of encounters that were as profound as they were unsettling. One visitor spoke of hearing a whisper that recounted a family legend, a tale passed down through generations, known only to her family. Another described hearing his own name spoken in the darkness, followed by a message that seemed to come from a long-deceased ancestor. These encounters lent a deeply personal dimension to the whispers, suggesting that they were not merely recounting history, but reaching out to specific individuals, bridging gaps in time and memory. The clash between skeptics and believers intensified with each new report of whispers. The skeptics argued that the power of suggestion, combined with the eerie environment of the catacombs, could lead people to believe they heard things that were not there. Believers, however, pointed to the specific, often verifiable details contained within the whispers, details that would be impossible for a visitor to know or invent. As the investigation continued, a pattern began to emerge. The whispers seemed to be strongest near certain mummies, those with distinct physical features or personal items that suggested a story waiting to be told. It was as if these mummies were the focal points for the phenomenon, channels through which the past spoke to the present. In this chapter of our tale, the whispers of the mummies of Guanajuato have transformed from a curiosity to a conundrum, a puzzle that challenges our understanding of the boundary between life and death. As we delve deeper into the voices from the past, we must ask ourselves, what are they trying to tell us? And are we ready to listen? Join us in the next chapter as we explore the unraveling secrets, where the stories of the past take on new dimensions, revealing connections that bind the city of Guanajuato across the ages. But beware, for in seeking to uncover these secrets, we may find that some truths are best left in the shadows. The unraveling secrets. As the whispers within the catacombs of Guanajuato grew ever more insistent, a unique collaboration emerged. Experts in linguistics, paranormal research, and historical analysis joined forces, each bringing their own expertise to bear on the mystery of the Whispering Mummies. Their goal was ambitious: to decode the whispers, to sift truth from illusion, and to uncover the stories entwined with the very bones of the city. This team of experts approached their task with a mix of skepticism and belief, aware of the challenge that lay before them. The catacombs, with their labyrinthine passages and silent watchers, seemed almost to resist their efforts, as if guarding the secrets that lay hidden within the whispers. Armed with the latest technology in audio recording and analysis, the team began their work. The catacombs, once silent except for the murmurs of the dead, were now filled with the low hum of machinery and a quiet concentration of the researchers. Slowly, painstakingly, the whispers began to wield their secrets. One of the first breakthroughs came from the linguistics experts, who identified multiple languages within the whispers, including Spanish, Nahuatl, and even traces of Basque and French. This linguistic tapestry pointed to the rich cultural history of Guanajuato, a crossroads for different peoples and histories. But more than that, it suggested that the whispers spanned centuries, a direct link to the past, speaking into the present. As the team delved deeper, the stories of individual mummies began to emerge from the whispers, each connected to significant events in Guanajuato's history. One mummy, identified by the remnants of a miner's attire, whispered of the brutal working conditions in the silver mines, of the hope and despair that drove the city's economic boom in the 18th century. His whispers spoke of a deadly collapse, a tragedy that cost many lives, but was quickly covered up in the rush for silver. Another mummy, a woman dressed in the finery of the colonial era, whispered of a forbidden love affair that crossed social and racial boundaries, a testament to the complex social hierarchy of colonial Mexico. Her story, filled with passion and tragedy, ended with a hint of violence, her death shrouded in mystery and scandal. Perhaps the most chilling story emerged from a mummy whose whispers were filled with anger and vengeance. This voice spoke of betrayal during the Mexican War of Independence, of a plot that led to the massacre of a group of rebels. The details he provided, previously unknown, matched obscure historical records, suggesting a dark chapter of history that had been lost to time. The team's efforts revealed a tapestry of personal tragedies and historical events, each whisper a thread connecting the present to the past. Yet, as they uncovered these stories, the researchers could not escape a sense of unease. The more they learned, the more they felt watched, not just by the silent mummies around them, but by unseen eyes, as if the very air of the catacombs disapproved of their intrusion. In this chapter of our tale, the whispers of the mummies have begun to reveal their secrets, painting a picture of Guanajuato's past that is as rich as it is haunting. Yet, with each story uncovered, the line between the living and the dead blurs further, leaving us to wonder, what other secrets do the mummies hold? And at what cost do we seek to unearth them? Join us in the next chapter, where the mystery deepens and the whispers grow louder, leading us down paths that some say are better left untraveled. But curiosity drives us forward, into the heart of the darkness, in search of answers that lie waiting in the silence of the catacombs. The person leashed. As the whispers within the catacombs of Guanajuato grew not just in clarity, but in volume, a palpable change came over the city. It was as if the very act of uncovering the secrets of the dead had disturbed a delicate balance, unleashing forces that had lain dormant for centuries. The city, vibrant and alive with the colors and sounds of Mexico, began to experience phenomena that defied explanation. Strange occurrences, once confined to the shadowy depths of the catacombs, started to manifest in the streets above. Unexplained lights flickered in the night sky, not the gentle twinkle of stars, but sharp, erratic flashes that left onlookers filled with an inexplicable dread. Cold spots appeared in the warm air, chilling to the touch, and disappearing as quickly as they came. More unsettling were the sightings of apparitions, spectral figures that seemed to drift on the alleyways and plazas in the early hours of the morning. Witnesses spoke of figures clothed in the garb of centuries past, their faces obscured, their presence accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature, and a feeling of overwhelming sadness. These spirits, if spirits they were, vanished when approached, leaving no trace but the lingering sense of unease they imparted. The whispers, once confined to the catacombs, were now heard in the streets, in homes, even in the bustling markets. They were no longer just fragments of stories or glimpses of the past, but urgent, insistent voices that spoke of unrest and anger. The dead, it seemed, were no longer content to whisper in the dark. They demanded to be heard. Amidst this growing tide of fear, a theory emerged, whispered among the locals, and debated by experts. The disturbances, the phenomena, the apparitions, all were linked to the catacombs, to the disturbance of the mummy's rest. In their eagerness to uncover the past, the researchers had unwittingly unleashed a curse, a retribution from the dead for the peace that had been stolen from them. The city was divided between those who scoffed at the notion of a curse, and those who believed fervently in the need to appease the spirits of the dead. But, as the occurrences grew both in frequency and intensity, even the most skeptical began to question their disbelief. The atmosphere in Guanajuato became charged with a sense of impending crisis, as if the city itself awaited a reckoning. In desperation, a coalition of locals and experts came together in search of a solution. They turned to history, to folklore, to science, anything that might offer a clue on how to quell the unrest of the spirits. Rituals were performed, offerings made at the entrances to the catacombs, pleas for forgiveness spoken into the darkness. Researchers scoured historical texts for any mention of similar phenomena, any precedent that might guide their actions. But the answers were elusive, and the curse, if curse it was, showed no sign of abating. The whispers grew ever louder, a cacophony that filled the night, and the apparitions became a common sight, glimpses of a past that refused to be forgotten. In this chapter of our tale, the city of Guanajuato finds itself on the brink, caught between the world of the living and the demands of the dead. The whispers, once a source of fascination, have become a symbol of fear, a reminder of the price of disturbing those who rest in the shadows. Join us in the next chapter as the battle against the curse intensifies, with the fate of Guanajuato hanging in the balance. Will the city find a way to restore the peace, or will the whispers and the shadows claim it for their own? The answer lies hidden in the heart of the darkness, waiting to be discovered. The battle against time. In the heart of Guanajuato, as the city teetered on the brink of chaos, a team was assembled, a union of the old and the new, tradition and science. Their mission was clear yet daunting: to return the mummies to their peaceful slumber, to quell the unrest that had taken hold of the city. This team was a blend of experts in the paranormal, historians deeply versed in the lore of the city, scientists equipped with the latest technology, and practitioners of ancient rituals, keepers of knowledge passed down through generations. The city, once a vibrant tapestry of life and culture, now found itself engulfed in a palpable sense of fear. The streets, typically alive with the sounds of daily hustle, grew quiet, the silence punctuated only by the now omnipresent whispers and the occasional distant cry of an apparition. The air was thick with anticipation, with the sense that something, whether salvation or damnation, loomed just on the horizon. As the team set about their work, they faced obstacles both supernatural and human. Equipment designed to measure and counteract the disturbances malfunctioned in inexplicable ways. Readings fluctuated wildly, and devices turned off without cause. Rituals meant to pacify the spirits were interrupted by sudden gusts of wind, extinguishing candles and scattering offerings, as if an invisible hand sought to thwart their efforts. But it was not just the supernatural that stood in your way. Skepticism and fear had taken root within the hearts of the city's inhabitants. Some viewed the team's efforts as meddling that would only worsen the curse, while others demanded immediate and tangible results. Their patience worn thin by nights filled with whispers and sightings. Tensions within the city grew, with the team's every move watched by eyes filled with a mix of hope, desperation, and mistrust. Undeterred, the team pressed on, their efforts becoming a race against time. They turned to the city's archives, to ancient texts and forgotten lore, in search of anything that might guide them. They discovered references to a similar unrest centuries past, an event shrouded in secrecy and fear, but one that had been quelled through a combination of rituals and offerings, a pact of peace between the living and the dead. Armed with this knowledge, the team devised a plan that would combine the ancient rituals with modern understanding, a bridge between worlds. They sought out the locations within the catacombs that seemed to be the epicenters of the disturbances, places where the whispers were loudest, where the air felt charged with an unseen energy. As they worked, the city held its breath. The usual vibrant celebrations and gatherings were muted. The streets emptied early as people retreated into their homes, seeking solace in the company of family and the safety of familiar spaces. The night of the final ritual arrived, a night where the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead was said to be at its thinnest. The team gathered in the depths of the catacombs, surrounded by the silent mummies, the air heavy with the weight of centuries. They began the ritual, a blend of chants and offerings, of scientific instruments designed to measure and, hopefully, to mend. The whispers swelled to a crescendo, a storm of voices that filled the catacombs, echoing off the ancient stone. Above, the city seemed to hold its collective breath, waiting for a sign, for silence, or for a scream. In this chapter of our tale, the battle against time and against the unseen forces that grip Guanajuato unfolds. The team, a beacon of hope in the darkness, faces obstacles that test the limits of their knowledge and courage. As they delve into ancient rituals and modern science, the fate of the city hangs in a balance, teetering between salvation and succumbing to the shadows. Join us in the next chapter, where the outcome of their efforts is revealed, and the city of Guanajuato finds its path forward, either into the light or further into the depths of the unknown. The whispers grow louder, the shadows deepen, but hope remains, a flicker in the darkness, waiting to ignite. The final whisper. As the night draped its cloak over Guanajuato, the city found itself suspended in a moment of eerie calm, the silence before the storm. Within the depths of the catacombs, beneath the earth, where centuries of history lay entombed, a critical breakthrough had been achieved, a ceremony that wove together the threads of ancestral knowledge and scientific understanding, a last stand against the unrest that had seized the city. The team, a blend of scholars, scientists, and ritual practitioners, had discovered a common element in the ancient texts and modern theories: the need for harmony between the living and the dead, a balance that had been disrupted, leading to the current turmoil. The ceremony they planned was ambitious, an attempt to restore this balance and to address the curse head-on. As the team prepared, the city above seemed to hold its breath. Streets usually alive with the vibrant sounds of music and laughter were silent, the inhabitants of Guanajuato retreating into their homes, waiting, watching. The atmosphere was charged with a palpable sense of anticipation and fear, the outcome of the night's efforts uncertain. In the catacombs, the ceremony began. Around the focal points of the disturbances, where the whispers were strongest and the air thrummed with unseen energy, the team assembled. They had brought with them offerings symbolic of peace and reconciliation, flowers to represent life, salt to purify and protect, water to cleanse and renew. Alongside these traditional elements were devices designed to measure environmental and electromagnetic changes, part of the scientific approach that underpinned their efforts. The ritual practitioners began to chant, their voices rising and falling in ancient rhythms that echoed off the stone walls. Scientists monitored their equipment closely, observing the fluctuations that accompanied each phase of the ceremony. The air within the catacombs grew heavier, the whispers intensifying to a frenzied pitch, as if protesting against the intrusion. But the team did not waver. They moved through the catacombs with purpose, performing the ritual at each designated point, weaving a tapestry of sound and silence, science and spirituality. The tension within the catacombs built to a crescendo, the air vibrating with the force of the unseen battle being waged. And then, suddenly, silence, a profound, encompassing silence that swept through the catacombs like a wave, extinguishing the whispers, calming the air. The team paused, hardly daring to breathe, as they waited for a sign that their efforts had been successful. Above, the city remained still, the tension palpable. And then, as if in response to the silence below, a gentle breeze stirred the air, a whisper of its own, carrying with it the scent of rain and earth, a promise of renewal. In the days that followed, the strange occurrences that had plagued Guanajuato began to fade. The apparitions vanished, the unexplained lights and cold spots disappeared, and the whispers, those urgent voices from the past, were silenced. The city, it seemed, had been restored to balance, the peace between the living and the dead mended. In this chapter of our tale, the team's efforts culminate in a ceremony that bridges the gap between worlds, combining the wisdom of ancestors with the knowledge of the present. As the city of Guanajuato holds its breath, the fate of its inhabitants hangs in the balance, teetering on the edge of darkness and light. But with the dawn comes hope, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and a power of unity in the face of the unknown. The final whisper has been spoken, a message of peace that echoes through the city, a reminder that even in the deepest shadows, light can be found. Join us in the final chapter, where we reflect on the journey, the lessons learned, and the legacy of the whispers that once filled the night. The shadows may recede, but the stories they hold will linger. Whispers in the wind, part of the eternal tapestry of Guanajuato. Silence restored. In the aftermath of the ceremony that wove together the threads of the past and the present, the city of Guanajuato emerged from the shadows, bathed in the light of a new dawn. The whispers, those voices that had filled the night with urgency and fear, had faded away, leaving behind a silence that was profound and peaceful. In the catacombs below, the mummies lay in their eternal rest once more, the disturbances that had awakened them quelled by the combined efforts of those who sought to mend the broken bond between the living and the dead. The city above, too, found peace. The strange occurrences that had once plagued its streets and homes ceased, and a palpable sense of unease that had gripped the hearts of its inhabitants lifted. Life in Guanajuato resumed its vibrant rhythm, the colors brighter, the laughter louder, as if the city itself was breathing a sigh of relief. Let the journey through the darkness, through the mystery of the whispering mummies, left an indelible mark on those who had lived through it. It was a reminder of the thin veil that separates the past from the present, the living from the dead. The whispers, though silenced, spoke volumes about the power of history, the stories etched into the very stones of Guanajuato, and the lives of those who walked its streets centuries before. Reflections on the journey revealed the importance of respect for those who came before us. The mummies, with their silent whispers, were not merely relics to be studied or curiosities to be gawked at. They were reminders of our shared humanity, of the cycles of life and death that bind us all. In their unrest, they taught us the value of listening, not just to the voices of the present, but to the echoes of the past. The events in Guanajuato also illuminated the fragile balance between curiosity and reverence, between the desire to uncover the mysteries of the past and the need to respect its boundaries. The whispers were a call to remember, to honor the stories and the lives of those who had gone before, to acknowledge the depth and richness of history that surrounds us. As peace returned to the catacombs and the city above, the legacy of the whispers remained. They had served as a bridge, connecting the living to the dead, the present to the past. They reminded us that history is not just a series of dates and events, but a tapestry woven from the lives of individuals, each thread a story waiting to be heard. In the silence of the catacombs, where the whispers once echoed, there is now a sense of harmony, a testament to the journey undertaken and the lessons learned. The mummies of Guanajuato, in their eternal rest, continue to watch over the city, guardians of its history and its mysteries. As our tale comes to a close, we leave the city of Guanajuato basking in the light of understanding and respect. The shadows have receded, But the stories, the whispers, remain a part of the city's soul, whispered on the wind for those who are willing to listen. Thank you, dear listeners, for joining us on this journey into the heart of darkness and back into the light. Remember, the past is always with us, in the whispers of history that surround us, guiding us forward with the wisdom of the ages. Until our next tale, may you find peace in the silence and stories in the whispers. The legacy of the whispers. In the wake of the events that unfolded beneath the streets of Guanajuato, the city found itself at the crossroads of history and modernity, the living and the dead. The tale of the Whispering Mummies, with its blend of fear, mystery, and ultimate resolution, wove itself into the fabric of the city's identity, leaving an indelible mark on its culture, its tourism, and its understanding of history. The whispers, though silenced, ignited a renewed interest in the city's past, drawing visitors from far and wide, eager to explore the depths of the catacombs and to stand among the mummies whose stories had briefly bridged the gap between worlds. Yet, this surge in curiosity was met with a new sense of responsibility. The city recognized the need to protect and respect these ancient guardians of history, ensuring that the whispers would indeed remain a thing of the past. Measures were taken to reseal the catacombs, not just to preserve the physical integrity of the mummies, but to honor their spiritual rest. New protocols were established, balancing the desire for exploration and learning with the imperative to maintain the dignity and peace of the departed. The catacombs, once a site of eerie disturbances, became a sacred space, a testament to the city's commitment to honoring its past and those who had lived it. The impact of the Whispering Mummies extended beyond the immediate efforts to safeguard the catacombs. It prompted a city-wide reflection on the relationship between the present and the past, between the bustling streets of the living and the silent chambers of the dead. Guanajuato's residents and visitors alike found themselves more deeply connected to the city's history, more aware of the layers of life, struggle, and stories that had paved the streets they walked upon. But perhaps the most profound legacy of the Whispering Mummies lay in the way they prompted a contemplation of the afterlife and the echoes we leave behind. The whispers had been a reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the dead, a call to remember that every life leaves a mark, a whisper in the fabric of time. They served as a reminder that history is not just about events and dates, but about people, about the stories that continue to resonate long after those who lived them are gone. As the city of Guanajuato moved forward, the lessons of the whispers lingered. They reminded us that while the dead may lie in silence, their stories, their struggles, and their spirits continue to shape the world of the living. The catacombs, now sealed and protected, stand as a monument not just to those who rest within, but to the enduring power of memory and history. And so, dear listeners, we close the chapter on the Whispering Mummies of Guanajuato, the story that began in the shadows but ended in the light of understanding and respect. It is a tale that reminds us of the mysteries that surround us, of the stories waiting to be discovered in the whisper of the wind, in the silence of the stones. May we always listen for those whispers, for in them lies the wisdom of the ages, the echoes of lives once lived, and the reminder that, in the dance between the living and the dead, we are all connected, now and forevermore. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until we meet again, may the whispers of the past guide you gently into the future. And thus, we reach the end of our journey through the echoes of Guanajuato, a tale that wove together the strands of the past and the present, of the living and the departed. Through the Whispering Mummies, we've traversed the shadowy line between myth and reality, uncovering truths that lie hidden in the depths of history and in the human heart. As the curtains draw to a close on this story, we are reminded that every end is but a new beginning. The tales of Guanajuato, the whispers of its mummies, continue to ripple through the fabric of time, inviting us to listen, to learn, and to remember. Our exploration into the mysteries of the afterlife and the stories left behind by those who have departed may have concluded, but the echoes of their existence remind us that we are all part of a larger, ever-unfolding story. Thank you, dear listeners, for accompanying us on this voyage into the unknown, for opening your minds and hearts to the tales of the Whispering Mummies. Though we say goodbye to Guanajuato and its silent guardians, let us carry forward the lessons learned and the sense of wonder ignited. Remember, the world around us is brimming with stories waiting to be discovered, whispers from the past that beckon us to listen closely. As we part ways, let us not forget the power of history, the bonds that connect us to those who came before, and the mysteries that inspire us to seek, to question, and to understand. This has been a journey not just into the heart of Guanajuato, but into the depths of the human experience. And as we move forward, let the whispers of the past be a guide, a reminder of the richness of our shared heritage and the enduring presence of those who have walked the paths before us. Until we meet again in new tales and new explorations, keep listening for the whispers of history, for in them lies the key to understanding not only our past, but the essence of our shared humanity. Thank you for being part of this story, for letting the whispers of Guanajuato echo in your heart. Farewell, dear listeners, until our next adventure into the shadows and the light of the stories that shape our world.